Hi, welcome again. In the previous video we talked about mutable and immutable objects. In this video we'll talk about tuples. Tuples are examples of immutable objects. They are in structure similar to lists, but they are immutable. So that's the main difference. Let's turn to Python to write some code. We'll start by defining a list. Let's call it L. And let's define a tuple. It's the first time we're defining it. It goes in parentheses like that, and we type the elements. Here's an example. And just like tuples, just like lists, tuples can include any elements of any data type inside it. So let's go with say type L. So that will produce the type of the element, or the object, which is a list. Type of T, it's a tuple. So they behave similar to lists. So let's say we want to do T of 3, the fourth element of the tuple, that's A. The main difference with lists as compared to lists is actually that they're immutable. So if you want to assign, as we've seen before, L, say the second element, let's say the value of 12, now print L, the third value has been adjusted to 12. Let's try to do the same thing with T, and we get something similar to what we got with strings. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Again, it's immutable. Its content cannot be adjusted, cannot be modified. Tuples are a lot simpler than lists. So if we hit say l.tab, we see the types of functions we can get with lists: append, count, extend, etc. Let's try the same thing with tuples. T dot. There are only two possible operations we can do with tuples. We can also get the length of the tuple, just like we do with list. Len T is 4 elements. A couple more things about tuples. They don't have to be, when they are created, they don't have to be in parentheses. Let's say you're creating T1 as another tuple. We could do 2, 5, 6. It will be taken as a tuple. We could do type T1. And it's a tuple, even though it was created without parentheses. So what do we do if we want to create a tuple with, let's say, tuple A with one element? Let's say you want element 1 or say 14 to be included in there. Let's go type A, and we notice it's an integer. So it was not understood by the interpreter as a tuple. It's actually taken as an integer, and the parentheses are thought of as a grouping operator. So what do we do if we want to create a tuple of one element? We do it like that, and that will be understood as a tuple now, as you can see. Alright, back to the list. L.tab. Notice it has a lot of options we can do with it. If that's the case, why use tuples? Again, tuples are much simpler than lists. They have the similar structure as lists, but they're immutable, and that's an advantage in cases where you want the content to be preserved, never modified. Then you go with tuples. Another thing about tuples, they're actually more efficient in terms of speed. They're faster to create than lists. So if you're creating a large list or sequence of number where, again, you're not interested in modifying the content, you might go with tuples in that case. One last thing here, we can change tuples into lists and vice versa. So you can say you want to define B equals tuple L. So cast here, if you print B is, if you go to the L, the list, notice the list L has been casted to the variable B as a tuple. Again, if you go type P now, type B, and it's a tuple. You can do the opposite. If you have a tuple and you want to turn it into a list, like T here originally is a tuple, so you can, let's say, create Y equals, again, list T, and then Y is actually a list. Type Y, and it's a list. That's about it for tuples for now. The next video we will talk about sets and set operations. As usual, thanks for watching, and see you next time.